All right, today's class is Unteaching the Unlearned, a New Religion. I'm going to start off with the introduction in 2nd Ezra chapter 14, 34. This is just like a spiritual, mental stretch just to get your minds and your spirit prepared for the class. Go ahead and read that.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14 and verse 34. Therefore, if so be that you will subdue your own understanding.
If you could stop your thoughts on what you think is right, you'll be able to understand the Bible. If you surrender your mind, your spirit, absolutely to the Most High God and His laws, you'll be able to understand what it is you're supposed to do. Read.
And reform your hearts. Ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
Go to John 7:38. So if you will subdue your own understanding, everything that you've learned in the world, you're going to have to re-question it to see if it was correct. You're going to have to do a fact check with the Bible on every single thing that you've learned in life. John 7:38.
The book of John, chapter 7 and verse 38. He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said.
So it's saying the person that believes on Christ as the Bible has said it, read.
Out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water.
Meaning that you're going to have understanding. You're going to be able to produce this information and reciprocate it to others. You're going to be able to survive. You're going to have life. Hebrews 10 and 7. It's going to say the exact same thing.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 7. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me.
Christ said, I come in the chapters of the book. I am the Bible. It's written of me. To do what?
To do thy will, O God.
It's teaching us how to be like Christ was when he walked the earth. It's teaching us how to obey and be servants to the Most High God. Isaiah 28 and verse 9.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 28 and verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge?
So who's going to be able to understand the will of God? That this is the speakings of Christ as it was given to him by God. Who's going to be able to receive this biblical knowledge? Read.
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Who's going to understand parables, the stories of the Bible? Who's going to be able to connect the dots with the precepts? Read.
Them that are weaned from the milk.
Those that know that they got to keep the commandments. Those that understand that the commandments is the will of God. That's what he wants us to do. That's how he wants us to live. Read.
And drawn from the breast.
Those that are going to be raised and grown up in the Bible, in the precepts, in the laws. Verse 10.
Verse 10. For precept must be upon precept. Precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a little and there a little.
So a precept is a law. Sometimes you're going to see a law over here, like in Exodus 28. It's going to say keep the Sabbath. I said 20 and 8, right? Yeah, Exodus chapter 20 and 8. I thought I said 28 altogether. But it's going to tell you to keep the Sabbath. It says don't work. No one can work. But in another precept, it's going to tell you that you can't kindle a fire, meaning cook. And in another precept, or somewhere else in the Bible, it's going to tell you that you can't buy or sell. That's what it means by precept upon precept. Line upon line, here a little, there a little. You're not going to understand everything just from reading one book, one chapter. You got to read it thoroughly to understand why this is happening here or why it happened over there. Verse 11.
Verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
With another, what do we call it? I just said it. What did I call it? Metaphors. In metaphors and parables will he speak to these people, speak to us. For with stammering lips and another tongue will I speak to these people. We pride ourselves on being storytellers and being metaphorical. But when it comes to the Bible, it's like, that's not it. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about this. Why don't we understand? And in verse 13 is going to tell you why people can't understand the metaphors or parables in the Bible. Read.
Verse 13. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept.
So the world has the Bible just like the Israelites have the Bible, just like Christianity has the Bible. This is why they can't understand. Read.
Precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
This is why they can't understand. This is why it takes them, because they don't understand precept upon precept. We back in the world, we'll isolate a scripture like John 3:16, God so loved the world. Like there's nothing else surrounding that verse. Like there's not more to it. And it gets them taken away thinking that God loves everybody. And then in Romans, it tells you that God hates a people. Verse 15.
Verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement.
Because we love the life that's been given to us, that we refuse the teachings of the Bible and keep the word of mouth that we've learned in this nation. Read. And from this nation.
When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come into us. For we have made lies of our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves.
We have hid ourselves in the knowledge of the world, and we call that our protection. The ways of the world have become our God. Verse 18.
Verse 18. And your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with the hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then ye shall be trodden down by it.
Because you refuse the knowledge and information of the Bible, you're going to die. To avoid that, go to 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 2. This is how we have to learn. Even as an adult, you have to be willing to start over as a child. Because a child don't know the difference between blue and green unless somebody tells them. And if you tell them opposite, they're going to grow up thinking that. That's what's happened to us under these falsehoods of religion. Read.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 2. As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word.
Just like a child needs milk, you need the laws of God. Read.
That ye may grow thereby.
So you can grow in understanding this truth. Sirach 39 and 1.
The book of Sirach chapter 39 and verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies.
He's going to devote his time and energy. This person is going to give all that they have to understand what's needful of them on this earth to be a servant of God, to come back to his Father. Read.
He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also.
He's going to be able to understand the stammering lips, another tongue. He's going to be able to understand those things in the scriptures. Read on.
He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences and be conversant in dark parables.
Now he's going to be able to conversate about these things, reteach these things to other people so they can get it. Read.
He shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men.
And it's going to be to the point to where he's going to be able to become an evangelist, be able to speak these things in different countries amongst great men, and they're going to respect his wisdom and understanding of God, just like they did with King Solomon. Verse 5.
Verse 5. He will give his heart to resort early to the Lord that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer and make supplication for his sins.
This is going to be a person that's not making any excuse of their shortcomings, but fixing it, being accountable and responsible for his actions. Get Proverbs 19 and 8. Last two scriptures in the introduction, and the spiritual stretch. Proverbs 19 and verse 8.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 8. He that getteth wisdom loveth his own soul.
You that understand this Bible and do the will of God, you love yourself. Read.
He that keepeth understanding shall find good.
This is what makes us prosperous. Proverbs 15 and 32.
Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 32. He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul.
If you hate this Bible, you hate your own soul. If you don't want to get this instruction, you hate your own soul. And if you hate your own soul, how can you teach anybody else love? Read.
But he that heareth reproof getteth understanding.
This person is going to grow. This person is going to prove that they love themselves and God. From there, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 48. That's a new religion.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he hath destroyed thee.
The points that I want out of this was that therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies in the want of all things. So in the want of all things, it's been these religions, these different doctrines, these different teachings that he's pushed on us. And the most important thing is I've never seen someone's enemy do something for the greater good of their foe. They always do things for their own benefit. So if he's teaching us these things, why would he teach us correctly? Why would he want us to be better if he's our enemy? It's all meant to destroy us. Go to Galatians 3 and verse 1. And we have to think on these scriptures in these times, not like it's those people back then.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 1.
Because Galatians, they were still under the rule of the Caucasian race, the Greco-Roman Empire. Read.
O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you?
Who have confused you? Who has put this witchcraft on you to believe the things that you believe? And you say it in this sense, oh, foolish Americans, Europeans. Because that's who he's talking to, is the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that was under that rule. It's the same thing here in America. Who's bewitched us as Americans? Read.
That ye should not obey the truth.
That we shouldn't be able to open this Bible and see like, dang, I got to keep the Sabbath day, the seventh day holy, not the first day of the week. Who has confused us to the point to where we simply can't believe that? Read.
Before whose eyes Jesus Christ had been evidently set forth, crucified among you.
Read.
This only what I learn of you. Receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith.
So it's telling us that we're going to receive this by keeping the commandments and the faith on Christ. We always have. Who bewitched us to where we're not? Read on.
Are ye so foolish?
Have you been so drunken in this religion and these doctrines that you can't snap out of it, but you can go get a degree? You can go to college, understand the syllabus, understand what's needed of you. People be writing essays about subjects that they've never heard of and get an A. But when it comes to Christ only loves us, oh, that's not what the Bible say. We just read it. No, that's not what my Bible say. Okay, open your Bible and read it and tell me if it don't say the same thing as my Bible. Yeah, it says that, but that's not what I believe. How? How did we become so dumb? Read.
Having begun in the Spirit, are ye now made perfect by the flesh?
Read.
Have ye suffered so many things in vain? If it be yet in vain.
So have we not suffered the curses of Deuteronomy 28 that we can't see that we are the chosen people of God? Go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. How can we not see that this is our history, that it's been perpetual on us going from captivity to captivity to captivity? Read.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So this house of bondage, meaning slavery, all the 12 tribes of Israel were in Egypt as slaves. Read.
Verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
That's the point of it. That we shouldn't serve the gods of the other nations, that he's showing us his power and that he's for us and that he is the only true living God. Therefore, without a shadow of a doubt, we shouldn't have another God. We shouldn't want to create any other God outside of himself. Read.
Verse 4. Thou shalt make unto thee any graven image.
Why? Because we seen this of the Egyptians, that they was making gods out of crocodiles, beetles, and the sun. Everything that they saw, it was a god to them. God is saying, don't learn the way of the heathen. Read.
Or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath.
Read.
Or that is in the water under the earth.
Read.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them.
And that's the point. You shouldn't bow yourself down to these things to serve these things. Read.
Nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God.
And we see how jealous God is, that he would put us in a whole captivity. That he would be so angry that he destroys people for messing with us. He would destroy us for going against him. Read.
Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
After saying all of this, go to chapter 32 in Exodus and start at verse 1. After saying all of that, don't make another God. What do? We didn't even get far out of Egypt before this went out of the window. Read verse 1.
Exodus chapter 32 and verse 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron.
Here it is. Moses is still getting the commandments and understanding that we have today to give to the people. And because he took so long, we're so impatient. And side note, this is how the other nations make money off of us. They found a way to make money off of our emotion because we're so impatient. What's the word? Instant gratification. We have to have that instant gratification. So now that God ain't dealing with us as a whole and he only dealing with Moses right now, we're like, I guess there's no God. I guess he's done with us. Let's move on. Read.
The people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us a God, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
So we think the man dead. We need another God. We need something to occupy our time. So let's read what Aaron did.
And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them into me.
Imagine that. Here it is. You're waiting on Moses to come down. He delays to come down. He's not there. So you tell the people, something that's hanging from your ear, let's make that a God. That, imagine us doing that today. It wouldn't make any sense to us. Like, that's dumb. That's not a God. It's not moving. But we do that today. It's just done in a different way to where it's disguised. So like, oh, no, that's not a God. It's just entertainment. Read.
Verse 3. And all the people break off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them into Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graven tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
How do we do that? How do we take something that's not living, can't do anything? You had to make it stand up, to present itself and say, this is your God. How do we come up with that? Read on.
Verse 5. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast of the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink, and to rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves.
Here it is. We made something for ourselves, had a dinner and sacrificed unto this, had a party and sacrificed to a newly made God. Right after we saw miracles come out of heaven, he split the sea, he destroyed the armies of Egypt. We saw all of this, and here it is. We got a tool and some golden earrings and made a god to sacrifice. Right after he said, don't do specifically this. Verse 8.
Verse 8. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed thereunto and said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
He was like, I'm watching, and I can't believe how hard-headed these people are. Read.
Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and will make out of thee a great nation.
So he said, I'm going to start over with you, Moses, because these people are hard-headed. They ain't nothing like you. I'm just wipe them all out. Excuse me while I go mess these people over. 32 and 11.
Verse 11. And Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why do thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people.
So he's reasoning with the Most High God, saying that people going to say that you're not the mighty God that you say you are. Here it is that you brought these people out with a strong hand and just to kill them. They're going to think that you unjust, that you ain't the God that you say you are. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thy own self, and saidest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give into your seed, and they shall inherit it forever.
So then he was like, then his next reason was like, listen, you made a covenant with our forefathers that this was going to be your people. Read.
And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tables of testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other were they written.
That was it. So this was us as a nation as a whole. We got the commandments. We were told not to break these commandments, and we did. How does that relate to today? Go to Deuteronomy 28:16. Because we not worshiping statues, so to say. It's a little bit more, we didn't create them. We just bow ourselves to what's being created. Verse 16, 28:16.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So one of the curses is that we're going to be cursed in the city and cursed in the field. Go to Matthew 13:37. Let's understand this field. Because a lot of times when we break this down, we're going to be picking cotton, tobacco, things of that nature. We relate it back to physical slavery, chattel slavery, and the work that we do here in the cities.
The book of Matthew, chapter 13 and verse 37. He answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. Verse 38. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one.
So it says the field is the world. This is the hell that we're living in. The world is the hell that we're living in. And these are the places where we're cursed. Read.
Verse 39. The enemy that soweth them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels.
So in the end, the Most High is going to send the angels to separate these things. The good word is sold unto us. We're supposed to understand this Bible, but there's been some deceit on how it's being taught. And it's clear on who gave it to us. So from there, the image that I have up, These are the man-made religions. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, which is the field, and not after Christ. They've created so many different religions that sabotage our mind, that corrupt the good word. The Caucasian man is the devil that sowed this seed in our people, and it has grown to its great wickedness. Here it is, we are already a hard-headed and stiff-necked people, and if you tell them that they can bend certain laws, guess what they're going to do with them? They're just going to all-out break it. They're going to tear that thing to shred. Give me the next image. And get Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 4. That's a scary thing to think of, to tell a hard-headed people that they can be a little bit hard-headed. We're going to take that thing and run with it. Read Jeremiah 2 and 4.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and verse 4. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel.
Just right there, we're reading the Bible, and it constantly says, hear this, the house of Jacob. I'm speaking to you, O Israel. Only you, Israel. We keep hearing Israelites, and it just doesn't dawn on our people that this is all the Bible cares about. The whole storyline is about Israel. Look, we can read things like Harry Potter and understand that Harry Potter was the main character of the story and everybody else was just fill-ins around his story. But when it comes to the Bible, we can't grasp that thing. We'll watch, what's that series? Breaking Bad? We'll watch series like Breaking Bad, go ask Saul, call Saul, I think, yeah, go call Saul, something like that. You don't watch TV, yeah. I don't watch neither one of those shows either, but it's a mystery. What do they call what's the other names for the sci-fi and the like mystery? What's the genre?
The fictional movies.
Not fictional, but it's like, dang, what's it called? Like you have dramas, you have comedies, but for like mystery, suspense, things of that nature, where you have to like watch the beginning and get all the characters together, and then the end tells you why the beginning happened. We're fascinated by those type of things. But when it comes to the Bible, it's like, nah, that ain't what that is. It's everybody. All. How? Read verse 5.
Verse 5. Thus says the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain?
God is asking, what did he do wrong that we're against him? What sin has he committed against us to where we're so much against him telling us what to do? Read.
Verse 6. Neither said they, where's the Lord that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, and where no man dwelt?
Read.
And I brought you into a plentiful country.
So God is saying, like, I did all of these things for you. I brought you out of Egypt with a strong hand. Yeah, you had to sit in the desert for a little bit, but it was to bring you to a plentiful land, into a great country. That what?
To eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land, and made mine heritage an abomination.
You messed it up. I didn't mess it up for you. I didn't do anything wrong in moving you how I moved you. You did all of these things. Read.
Verse 8. The priest said not, where is the Lord? And they that handled the law knew me not.
Everybody that was set in place to keep us on course, they were like, I don't know this God. I'm doing my own thing. I'm not responsible for you. You your own judge. You can't judge me, I won't judge you. That's what we say even to this day. Read.
The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walk after things that do not profit.
We're all into dead works, things that can't save us. We create new hobbies, new gods, and it's all because of these new religions that we follow that have our minds so messed up. Verse 9.
Verse 9. Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and with your children's children will I plead.
Read.
For pass over the isles of Chittim and see, and send into Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing.
Read.
Hath the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory, for which doth not profit.
Have the nations changed their gods? Go look into all these nations. So here on this picture, you have directions of the Buddhists, Confucianism. I don't even know what that is. Christianity, Islam, Judaism. What is that?
Gnosticism.
I've never heard of that. Taoism, atheism, Hinduism, spirituality, and racialism. Like, and there's more. There's more things that we've given ourselves to. Has it given us comfort? Has it saved us from our oppression? Has it given us anything back? That's what it means. Have the nations changed their gods? No, they haven't. We have. The God that created everything. None of their books can explain what our book explains. But yet we go after them like it's a prophet, like it's going to give us something back, like it's going to free us. Verse 12.
Verse 12. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord.
Read.
For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me in the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water.
Read.
Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?
These are questions that we got to ask ourselves about the different idolatry that we've chosen, the things that we've set our heart to be so grateful for, like sports, that's another god. Entertainment, that's another god. Music, these are other gods. What'd you say?
Fashion.
Yeah, fashion. These are other gods that we created that we put our whole heart into becoming, being great at. Not saying that you can't do these things, but when it becomes to the fact to where this is what comforts you and saves your life above the Most High God, you're in idolatry. You've created something that's not living. It says, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? We got to ask ourselves, why and how did we end up in this predicament? Deuteronomy 32 and 17.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 17. They sacrificed unto devils.
Devils could be that the money. The love of it is the root of all evil. And to get it, you'll sell your own people out. You'll sell yourself out to get it. Read.
Not to God.
Read.
To gods whom they knew not. To new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not.
Who fears a statue? Like, we look at the image of the beast, Caesar Borgia, hanging from the cross. It looks real sad. He looks real starved out. And we look at that thing and be like, man, they did him so bad, man. But who really fears these statues, the statue of Buddha and all of these things? Nobody. These are new gods, newly come up, with whom your fathers feared not. It's the doctrines behind it that's getting us. Go to Jeremiah 44 and 8.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 44 and verse 8. And that ye provoke me into wrath with the works of your hands, burning incense unto other gods in the land of Egypt, whither ye be gone to dwell, that ye might cut yourselves off, and that ye might be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth.
Because they know that our God is the real God, and they have us trapped in snares in what they believe. Read.
Have ye forgotten the wickedness of your fathers and the wickedness?
We're reading this history from Genesis, from when Adam messed up with idolatry, all the way up into Exodus, what we just read in 32, on he was finna wipe us completely out and start over with Moses. It was just going to be the tribe of Levi. He was going to wipe all of us out for idolatry. He kicked Adam out of the land. He kicked us out of the land. Many times have we been conquered for our idolatrous ways. We read.
And the wickedness of the kings of Judah.
And then we read this history in Kings, Chronicles, Samuel, on how our kings were messing up with God in these captivities. Again and again, God has proven that He's a jealous God, that he's not going to tolerate us serving other gods. Read.
And the wickedness of their wives, and your own wickedness, and the wickedness of your wives, which they have committed in the land of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem.
Read.
They are not humbled even unto this day.
Even unto this day, we haven't been humbled. Because I've been saying this all week with the holidays going around. No black person really believes in like Christmas or New Year's. We just go because we that's a chance to be around the family, get some free food and some leftovers. So when we have to go back to work, we don't have to spend our money. But we don't really believe in the gods of these holidays. But when we're told what we're actually doing, that's not humbling you to say, dang, I'm in idolatry. That's idolatry. Even just the thought of doing it is idolatry. Start over from the top.
Verse 10. They are not humbled even unto this day, neither have they feared.
There's no fear in us on what to do or what not to do. We just go on about our lives just because we wake up the next morning and there's no consequence. Read.
Nor walk in my law, nor in my statutes that I set before you and before your fathers.
Read.
Therefore, thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will set my face against you for evil and to cut off all Judah.
And that's what happened. We went into Babylon and later on into the Americas. Jeremiah 3:1.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1. They say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's wife, shall he return into her again? Shall not the land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet returned again to me, saith the Lord.
So God is saying, in the law, if a wife commits adultery, she's not able to return back to her husband. But the Most High with us, because we're married to Christ, we're the wife in the sense of Christ being the husband. Under the law, we're not supposed to be able to come back, but under the covenant that he has with us, we're able to come back. He said, you've played the harlot with many lovers, meaning you went into many different idolatrous ways. Yet, we're able to return back to him, saith the Lord. Verse 2.
Verse 2. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places.
Look at all the countries and how they're prospering. Read.
And see where there has not been lying with.
Haven't we been captive to all of these different nations? Why have we been captive to all these nations? When we hit Judges, it was depression. Like we just got the land and we were messing up so bad. Read.
In the ways hast thou set for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness.
During the sub-Saharan slave trade and during the so-called dark ages or the golden ages, we was learning from the Arabians. We were learning the Muslims, what the Muslims believe. Read.
And thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness.
We continue to see things and get entertained and inspired like, oh, that's great, let's try this. And it messes us up even more. It's an easy thing to keep God's laws and to serve and obey him, but we be thinking the grass is greener. Like, for example, we'll see a husband and wife and they're doing good. They look like they love each other. And I hear often sisters say, man, I wish I had a husband like, I want a husband like him. And the wife is like, you can't deal with a husband like my husband the way you are right now, which means you got to change. And that's the same thing with us. Them other nations, they wouldn't be able to survive under the contract that we're in. Once they got put under the curses, that had meant it for them. They can barely survive how they're surviving now. Imagine them being under the curses. They wouldn't be able to survive like we survive. Go to Deuteronomy 28:64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So because we wanted to be with the other people and do what they do, he said, I'm going to scatter you among them and you're going to serve them. Your enemies are going to be your prize token. Everything that you want from them, you're going to get it. And I want you to see how they treat you compared to how I treat you. Read.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
So all across America, all the guys that we want to serve, you have the free, open opportunity to do it. And see where it gets you. Read.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
Some of us are serving dumb gods. I think it's the Hindu god, to where they sacrifice their hair. They sacrifice their hair to sell it to black women. They don't know that that's why they're selling their hair, because their people don't tell them. They just saying it's a great sacrifice. You're going to honor the god, and they cut their hair off bald to honor this god. That's what some of our people are over there doing, just so they can sell it to this ungrateful black woman over here. Read.
Serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
And I said earlier from Exodus 32 that it sounds stupid that we will take earrings, golden earrings off our ears, watch these men build a golden calf and say, that's the God of Israel. But it's no different than what we've done today. We'll take a degree and praise that over God. That's just paper. We'll take the wood being the cross or Caesar Borgia. We'll take that doctrine over the actual words in the Bible or the cobblestone. Because at one point, every Negro that wanted to change his life and become peaceful, get out of the streets, stop gang banging, selling drugs, guess what they did? They became Muslims. So you've made this stone or this doctrine your God. Go to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 18. And this goes on my point of where hasn't it gotten us today serving under all these different falsehoods or religions? Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 18.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 18. What profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it?
How has that Jesus piece protected you, or any rapper? Because rappers are dying. They're dying these days. What has that Jesus piece done for them? Read.
The molten image and the teacher of lies.
How has these teachings saved us from where we're at? There's a whole constitution, there's laws, there's rights that we've been given. How has it profited us in this so-called Christian nation as Hebrews, as the Israelites? Read.
That the maker of his work trusted therein to make dumb idols?
Read.
Woe unto him that saith to the wood.
It says, destruction unto us that take these created religions or idols. Read.
Awake to the dumb stone.
So tell this thing to wake up. Get up, stand up, and tell us what to do. Read.
Arise, it shall teach.
Tell us what to do. Tell us what you want us to do with our lives. How do we prosper? What do we need to meditate? What do we need to do? I've never seen the Buddhist stone talk to anybody. I've never seen the cobblestone, however much you have walked around it and kissed it, I've never seen it guide anybody's life. Read.
Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it.
There's no wisdom in it at all. There's nothing that none of these religions have done for us over any of the centuries that we've lived through. Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 26.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and verse 26. As the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, their princes, their priests, and their prophets.
We're supposed to. A thief, when he's caught, like, hey, listen, you got me. I'll put everything back. Don't kill me. Let me walk away. He's ashamed, like, I did this. I'm guilty. That ain't us today. We will tell our people that this is the way, and they like, nope, no, it ain't. Nope, that's not what my pastor say. That's not what my Bible say. That's not what my book say. That's not what I've learned. Read.
Verse 27. Say unto a stock, thou art my father.
We've created things and said, this is what comforts me. This is what protects me. This is what I hold as the Bible. Read.
And to a stone that has brought me forth. For they have turned their back into me and not their face. But in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us.
We showing our behind to God that created us and that can destroy us, that will destroy us. We turned our back on the one true living God for temporary things that's going to burn up. Read.
Verse 28. But where are thy gods that hast had made thee? Let them arise. If they can save thee in the time of thy trouble, for according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah.
It says, where are thy gods? What is teaching you, or what's making you alive? What's keeping you pushing? What's motivating you in getting what you're getting more than what the Most High can? Because you had to put in work for that degree. You had to put in work for that education, to give all your money to be in debt. With the Most High, it's all blessings, no cursings when he's with us. What God is treating us like that in this earth? Verse 29.
Verse 29. Wherefore, when you plead with me, ye all have transgressed against me, saith the Lord.
Now, go to 1 Kings 18:20.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 18 and verse 20.
This story was funny to me with Elijah, because we really have to mock these people in their understanding in the same spirit that Elijah was mocking our people. Read.
So Ahab sent into all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together into Mount Carmel.
So Ahab was a king in Israel, and this is what he was trying to do against the prophet of the Most High God. Read.
And Elijah came into all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word.
So the people were warned. They believe in God, but they was doing things of Baal. Well, how long are you going to teeter-totter between what you believe? Either go all in for Baal or go all in for the Most High God. Don't be in between. Read.
Then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I only, remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophet are 450 men.
So he's saying, you got the numbers. You got all the support. It's just me by myself. Who you going to believe? The scriptures say in the mouth of two or three witnesses, all things are going to be established. You got the numbers of believers. It's just me. Read.
Verse 23. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock and lay it on wood, and put no fire under.
So, just like how Jeremiah was mocking, said, where are your gods? Sacrifice to it. Make your God come alive that you've created, and let it save you. So he's saying, okay, you sacrifice to Baal, and I'm going to sacrifice to the Most High God. Read.
Verse 24. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken.
This is actually pitiful that we have to go to this extent to explain to our people that we have the living God and you don't. It's pitiful. It's foolish that we have to play the parlor tricks to say our God is real and these other gods are fake. Even when our people know the truth. Read.
And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose you one bullock for yourselves and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them and dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made.
So they getting impatient now, like from morning to noon, they yelling, Baal, 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 light the fire, receive our sacrifice. They're making a real show of making this God come alive, and they can't. Read.
Verse 27, and it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and
He's
said,
making fun of them. That's what we got to do with these other religions. Just like it said in Deuteronomy 7 about tear down their groves. This is how we're going to do it. Make mockery that these things are fake. Read.
and said, cry aloud, for he is a God.
Talk louder. Lift up your voice. Yell. Baal, Baal, Baal. Baal, where you at? Yell louder. Maybe he can't hear you. Read.
Either he is talking or he is pursuing.
Maybe your God is busy. He don't have time to get back to you. Leave a voice message or something. Read.
Or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth.
Maybe he sleep. Maybe he went on a journey and he can't answer your call right now. Read.
And must be awake.
Send somebody to go wake him up. It's 450 of y'all. Go call somebody to wake your God up. We have to mock these people just like this. Read.
And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lacings, till the blood gushed out upon them.
This is what the Arabs be doing overseas. In their mourning, they be cutting themselves with the knives in their back and in their head for their God. This what your God is telling you to do? To cut yourself, to hate yourself, to kill yourself in this manner? That's what your God is telling you to do? It don't sound like a good God to me. Don't sound like a good, just, gracious God to me. This God is not merciful to where you have to do all of this just to get his attention. Read.
And it came to pass, when midday was past, and they prophesied unto the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice nor any to answer, nor any that regarded.
So they getting tired now. It's like, this sun's almost down. Your God still ain't answered. He ain't lit the fire. He ain't receiving your sacrifice. Verse 30.
Verse 30. And Elijah said unto all the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And it put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice on the wood.
Now he's showing out because he got the wet wood with the sacrifice. And he was like, hey, listen, everybody come around. I'm going to show you how to do this thing. You know, Israel, when we got the upper hand, we cocky as ever. So after Elijah put everything back together, fixed the altar and everything, he put 4 barrels of water and poured it on the burnt offering and on the wood. He was saying to the men that was following Baal to do this. Read.
Verse 34. And he said, do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, do it the third time. And they did it the third time. And the water ran around the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. Verse 36. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art the God of Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me.
This is humility too, because now he's dealing with the Most High God. He's sending up prayers that He inspired the people. He changed their minds and their hearts on what they've been believing in, what they follow, to actually follow the God of Israel and not the one that's created because the king is pushing this. Read.
Verse 37. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their heart back again.
Read.
Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, the Lord, he is the God. The Lord, he is the God.
This is what it was talking about when it says that a thief is going to be ashamed when he's caught. This is how convicted that we should be in all the things that we're following in the world. Read on.
Verse 40. And Elijah said unto them.
That was it. James 4:1.
The book of James, chapter 4, and verse 1. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even of your lust, that the war is your members?
Read.
Ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight in war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not.
Read on.
Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may be consumed it upon your lust.
This is also what we've done in the gods that we've created with our hands, that we be wanting these things, we ask these gods for it, and we don't get it. Then we want to come back to the Most High God and get it just so we can give it back to the gods that we created. It's our own problems as to why we can't get the Most High to respond to us like we want him to because of our faults. We got to understand this. Verse 4.
Verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God?
Is hatred to God, that your partnership, that you hoard yourself out to what's in the world and then trying to come back to God is not going to work. You're going to have to give up the things of the world, the ways of the world, and fully submit to God. Read.
Whosoever therefore would be a friend of the world is an enemy of God.
Read.
Do ye think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth envy?
We naturally are hard-headed. We learned that from Exodus, that we are a hard-headed, stiff-necked people. Verse 6.
Verse 6. But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble.
Most High had to be even more patient and give us more time to get ourselves together, because these religions have had a very great stronghold on us, and it's certain things that we still believe that's contrary to the Most High God. Read.
Verse 7. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you.
Verse 8.
Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you.
It's going back into study how you've been bewitched or deceived into thinking into idolatrous ways or the ways of the world. Read.
Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded.
Because we can't continue to go back and forth into the world and come to God. Read.
Be afflicted, and mourn, and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness.
Read.
Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up.
Let go of the world, and the Most High is going to surely be with us if we humble ourselves. Just like we saw the 450 men with Elijah. They saw that this is the true living God, and what they've been believing is fairy tales. Go to 1 John chapter 2 and 17.
The book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 17. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever.
The things of this earth that's been created to distract us, keep us away from God, bewitch us, it's going to pass away. But we're going to live forever. Read.
Little children, it is the last time. And as ye have heard, the Antichrist shall come. Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time.
When we think of Antichrist, we think of one man coming and deceiving the world and we're going to be able to spot it. No, it's anyone that is contrary to the writings of this Bible. Anyone that has something to say differently outside of keeping the laws. That's the Antichrist. These religions, they are the Antichrist. Verse 21.
Verse 21. I have not written unto you because ye have not the truth. Let me start it over. Verse 21, I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth.
Read.
Who is a liar, but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is the Antichrist, that denieth the Father and the Son.
If you deny this Bible, the writings of it, that this is the one and only God of Israel, you have become an Antichrist. You are in idolatry if you believe anything other than what's written in the scriptures. Verse 23.
Verse 23. Whosoever denieth the Son, the same hath not the Father. He that acknowledged the Son hath the Father also.
Chapter 4, verse 1.
Chapter 4 and verse 1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirit whether they are of God.
That's what Elijah did with the men. Because he wanted to prove to them, not for their destruction or not to bash them in a way to where they don't believe. He wanted them to see with their full strength, their full power, that what they believed in was false. Read.
Because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
And the same thing applies today, that there's many different things that we fall victim and trapped to. Read.
Verse 2. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God.
Verse 3.
And every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come. And even now already is it in the world.
It's in our world. Verse 4 through 6. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world.
We have overcome it because our spirit bears record. And we have to continue and endure in that same spirit to overcome the next deceit that's going to come, the next newly God that's going to be raised up in this earth to put us back to sleep. Read.
Verse 5. They are of the world. Therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them.
Read.
We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error.
We understand what's right, what's wrong. That's why the other people can't hear it. And that's why I don't really waste my time. I hear certain key things. I'm like, oh, no, you ain't trying to hear the Bible. Say a few scriptures to them, and they reject it. And they have excuses. I'm not dealing with you. But as soon as you talk about sports and politics and all the things of the world, now we can engage. Now we brothers. Now we can chat. I ain't fooling with you. 2 John 1 and 5.
The book of 2 John, verse 5. And now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that let me start it over. 2 John, verse 5. And now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another.
Read.
And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it.
Read.
For many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. This is the deceiver and an antichrist.
These people that won't keep the commandments, they're considered antichrist. It's not just one person. It's not going to be a president. It's not going to be a world leader. It's going to be the people that say Christ ain't coming back. It's the people that says you don't have to keep those commandments. You can't judge me. These are the deceivers that have bewitched our people for many years, saying that they don't have to do what God says to do. Luke 21 and 8.
The book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 8. And he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ.
And we've seen many different variations, denominations of Christianity. These are the people that are saying, I'm Christ. I come in the name speaking of Christ. This is what Christ looks like. This is what Christ wants us to do. And they're liars. They haven't come into Christ because they're not reading the scriptures like we read them. They're not keeping the commandments as we see we have to keep the commandments. They're not teaching the true things of Christ. But he said many were going to come. Read.
And the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them.
Don't be deceived in everybody that opens up a Bible or carries one. 1 Timothy 6 and 5.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 6 and verse 5. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself.
It says, supposing that gain is godly. We look up to people that are rich, have wealth, have great success, and we'll confuse that with godliness, like the pastors of these great churches. Like they must be doing something right if they made it to that level. Christ wasn't at that level, and look how great of a man he was. Read.
Verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out.
Don't get caught up in the material things and the success of people. That's not what's going to get us into the kingdom of heaven. It's our contentment. We have to be content where we are, who we are as a person, understanding this truth. You may be a person with great or little wisdom. As long as you're keeping the commandments, that's all that matters. A humble, contrite spirit is what matters to the Most High God. Read.
In having food and raiment, let us be therewith content.
Read.
But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which draw men in destruction and perdition.
Read.
For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
We've convinced ourselves in this life that money, success, power, that's what God is looking for. But he's saying he's not looking for any of that. Many of these people that end up in that, they end up pierced through with many sorrows. They become, what's the word I'm looking for? They become hurt more than most people. You'll see people hit the lottery and they're in worse debt than where they were before they even hit it. Read.
Verse 11. But thou, O man of God, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, meekness.
Just like how Moses was with meekness. We have to be able to understand this Bible and apply it in the same manner as our forefathers, in the same meekness, even if we have to be like Elijah sometimes and mock people to get them to see what you believe is foolish, is laughable. But in the faith of Jesus Christ, we have to show our people. We have to educate them and be better at how we explain to our people the errors of their ways so they can understand the ways of God and not the ways of the world, because we're all off. And with that, I say shalom, Most High in Christ bless, study, pray, apply, subscribe to all things IUIC OKC. Shalom.
What is the nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong